Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I think we see quite often a lot of young quarterbacks coming to the league and the expectations are high, especially if you're picked in the top 5. If you're Zach Wilson, you're Sam Darnold, now with Kenny Pickett, the expectations are high. But do you think it's fair? And Ray, I'll start with you first. Now, back in the day, a Dan Marino, John Elway, they'll come into the league. Maybe they'll set things on fire. But even Peyton Manning started off slow. The average quarterback is going to have a learning curve. So are we prisoner of the moment sometimes when these quarterbacks come out and they don't perform right off the bat? Like take Trevor Lawrence, for example.
No. Well, I think with Trevor Lawrence, I think it was a coaching issue. I mean, I think Urban Meyer is the greatest college coach ever, but in the NFL, it just didn't work out. And I think that now he's with Doug Pederson. He was a quarterback. He knows quarterbacks, and you can see in the second year he looks a whole lot better than he did last year. And we know Trevor Lawrence has talent, he has skill, but he just needs to have the right coaches around him. When you got too many offensive coordinators and you switching coaches every year and stuff like that, it's hard for you to get on track. And I think right now he's got the right coach, and I think that he's going to shine through. But if you look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he was so highly anticipated that he was the best quarterback coming out, considered to be, since Andrew Luck. So, there's a lot of expectations come with that.
Okay, and you make a good point when you brought up coaching, how coaching can impact it. But most of the time, when young quarterbacks get drafted, they're getting drafted high because they're going to a bad team. Okay, that's desperate for a quarterback. So let's look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts caught a lot of flack his first few years in the league as a highly touted quarterback, but he had like a different coordinator every year. So, and so again, do the young quarterbacks get a fair chance? Because now that he has some consistency and stability in coaching, we're seeing him thrive. I mean, isn't that what most quarterbacks need? And shouldn't people focus on that more so than, hey, you've been in the league 2 years, why haven't you gotten it yet?
Yeah, I mean that's very important. Consistency is what they need. I mean, we can use Mitch Trubisky for example. He started out fairly decent, and then he had some problems with Matt Nagy and his offense, and it didn't work out for him. And he got benched in favor of another seasoned veteran, and he ended up leaving the Bears and ended up going to Buffalo for a year. And now when he has a second opportunity to try to, get back to what he once was, he looked like a deer in headlights. I mean, he couldn't read the field. And, some of it I think may have been rust, but a lot of it is just the fact that, when your confidence is blown, and it could be any position in the National Football League, cornerback and quarterback are your two most important, I believe, on the football field. And when if you're not confident at quarterback, man, it shows. I mean, he as soon as he pull out of his, from under center, he'll run either to the right or left, and he's zeroed in on the receiver he's going to throw to. And if he doesn't have that one, then he's going to the check down. He's not going through his progressions for second, third, or fourth receiver or tight end even downfield. And you got to be able to do that. And, I know there's a lot of pressure put on these quarterbacks, but I mean, in today's time, and you have to produce early and often. And if you don't do that, it doesn't matter which quarterback you are. If you got somebody that may have a better arm than you that's waiting in the range, you might get replaced. So, these quarterbacks have to really, if you're going into the National Football League, you need to get with, if you think you're going with a team, or maybe get with an old quarterback that's retired, that's still teaching, the mechanics and things of that nature, you really got to take that position very seriously. And if you don't do that, you just go in there and then you just think you can just jump in the playbook and start, you got another thought coming. So these guys got to really take this quarterbacking very seriously if they're coming to the National Football League.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem also, a majority of the problem is the talking heads. The talking heads on TV got to have something to talk about for these 2-hour shows, and they criticize these young quarterbacks as if they're supposed to come in and just be the savior. I mean, the NFL is much different than the NBA. In the NBA, one player can make a huge difference, but even in football, with quarterback being the most important position, you still got to have some pieces around you. Are they blocking for you? Are your receivers getting separation? I mean, are your coaches putting you in a position to win? There's so much to consider. So I just think people need to start giving these guys some time, and see what happens and stop making judgments after 1 year that someone is trash. I mean, sometimes that is the case, maybe Josh Rosen, but for the most part, you put people in the right opportunities, then you'll be able to see them and at least be serviceable.